Hello, Joseph Tom here, and welcome to a game called The Spy, which is a game about a man with the power to stop the time lost in the wood. So, first thing first, I do not own the copyright of the picture and the sound I use in this game project. So, let's see how the game works. So, number one, hold down the main character and drag it to move it around. Number two, touching the spike walls will resolve in game over, and the same goes to the villains, which you will see in the third level. And number three, touching the green zone will go to the next level. And last but certainly not least, time moves only when you move. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. So here's the main character right here, and by holding it down you can drag around and avoid the spike as I talked about earlier, and reach the green zone right here to go to the next level. And once you go to the next level, you find out that the layout is similar, but the spike is moving when you are moving. And remember, time moves only when you move. So if you stop right here, you see the spike wall didn't move at all. And once I move again, the spike wall moves too. So reach. And now you see three characters right here, which is the villain, which you are not supposed to touch him at all. And once you touch the spike by accident, like what I just did right now, the game over message will show up and ask you whether you want to try again or quit the game. If you quit the game, it will go back to the main menu, like right here. And you can see that since I failed the game, the fastest record there's no records, of course, because I failed the game. So now let's start again. So right here I touched the spikes on purpose, and just to show you what happens if you click the button play again instead of quit the game. So it sends you back to level 1 right here, and you can start everything's all over again. And by the way, there's a video streaming right here up there at the top, in case you're wondering what is it. So back to this level again, I try to be a little bit more careful because touching these things will also consider as fail. And just move right here because the time moves only when you move, so you can cheese it a little bit by moving around. So now I reached the green zone, and now since there's only 3 levels, so and after I reach the green zone 2 times in a row, and I win. And the time you take to finish the level will be recorded. And right here, since there's no record previously, so this will be considered as the best new record. So if I quit the game right now, you can see that my record is right here. So last but not least, if I click the quit game button, the apps will stop as obviously. There's also one thing that worth mentioning is that there is a open chat room at the top of the screen when you're playing the game, and once you click on it, it will open a Bluetooth chat room. And while using this feature, make sure your Bluetooth is on when using this feature, so you can use the Bluetooth chat room. And once you click on the scan for device, it will look for device that is nearby, and since there's no nearby device using this app, so we just gotta deal with it, I guess. So as you can see here, this is the code I used for making the game I previously showed you guys, and here's the permission for Bluetooth, so you can use the Bluetooth chat room, and then the internet for video streaming, and also the other Wi-Fi stays and network stays for the video streaming and such. And now, the animated sprite Java class is for the main character we control and the village you saw previously at level 3. So you can see here the data for the animated sprite and stuff like that. And for moving top, up, down, left, right, and we have a different bitmap for each and every single direction. And right here, which for handling action down, which means the player holding down the main character. So if the player is holding down the main character, it will set to true. Otherwise, it will be set as false. And right here, the handling bounce, the village you saw at level 3 if they hit the edge of the screen, it will bounce off and move the other direction. And this is the method I use to create this effect. And right here, next frame, which will change the anime, which create the animation and draw methods right here, and update for the village to move around at level 3. And last but not least, collide with, which I used it to test whether the village or the player touch the other objects. And right here, Bluetooth check is a Java class made for Bluetooth check room, and right here the basic data for the Bluetooth check, and right here on create debug.log and stuff like that. And so right here, after the method is called, it will start up and set up the check room and resume and stuff like that. So some basic function of the check room, you can see it right here. And on pause. And right here is the method for sending the message to the other device, assuming there is another device you can send message to. So I guess right here you can see this is how I connected the device between two Bluetooth the devices, and this is I used it for creating the option menu, which shows up the other devices that use Bluetooth and the game I create. Then you can see it on this option menu. And so that's basically it for the Bluetooth check class. And now the Bluetooth check surface class, and right here the same initialize the data, not initialize, but to create the attributes. And I initialize it in somewhere else, I think. And right here, Bluetooth check room servers, basic stuff, gets the stage of the Bluetooth check room, and here's the connection between devices and stuff like that. And right here, there's what to do when the stop method is called. And let's see, in here, this is the place where you can send message to the other device. It will record a message you written down and send it to the other device, assuming there's the others. And that's just in case the connections fail, it will do these following things. So here's the run method. So how the Bluetooth check room service actually works is all right here. So I guess that's basically it for this class. And now another class called button, which I used to make the main menu with. And here's how I initialize and set up the button data at the text on the button and the bitmap for it. So unlike the ordinary Android Studio game, it have a slightly better background compared to the ordinary game. They just use the button they found on the layout XML. So right here I draw the button, and right here there's collide with finger. That means if the player touch the button. So right here custom surface build, which is the view you saw at the middle, at the bottom, the biggest view in the game that I showed you previously. And right here, this is a surface view, so I used the surface holders and such to start things with. And here's where I initialize the data. And so here's where I draw the data. And let's see, there's one thing that worth mentioning is the wall you see in the game, they their position will actually change depends on the size of the screen size of your devices. So it should be compatible if you're using a bigger or smaller devices than the one I showed you previously. So the draw device, and here's the static method update for both the main character and walls and such. So that's basically it for the custom surface view. And right here the device list activity, which I use to list the devices and such. And right here at the beginning, as always, creating these attributes. And so this is on destroy method right here. So that's basically it, not remarkable. And right here the main activity, as always starting with the game data. And this is where I made a video streaming code right here. And I set the video to, it will loop itself when it ends, so it will just play over and over again and non-stop. And right here I hide the title bar, so there's more space for the game itself, and title bar is not really necessary for this game. And right here start timer is a method that I made for the timer we record at the end of the game. So right here, this is where I initialize and I set up a custom view layout and stuff like that. And now that's the method start timer that I mentioned previously for the time I use at the end of the game. And next, on touch method, I place the update method that I mentioned previously on the on touch event to create a time move only when you move illusion. And right here, there's on touch method for the button you saw at the main menu, declare, quit, guide how to play the game, then start game, stuff like that. And now for action move, you can see that's for moving the main character around and stuff like that. So right here, info dialog, which is a dialog that will show up when you click the declare or guide button at the main menu, which will shows up how to play the game and the copyright declare, stuff like that. And this is the game over dialog. No matter you win the game or lose the game, this dialog will show up when the game is over. And if you win the game over dialog will show the time you take to finish the game. And if you click the quit button, it will reset the villains and the player's position back to normal stage. And now the Vogue Java class, and similar to the button class, except this is made for wall and its position will change on draw, because as you can see under level 2 and level 3 the walls will move around, and it's similar to a button with there's a collide with fingers method. And the biggest difference will be the position X and Y is will change during the update. And last but not least, the win zone, the green area that you saw in each level, and if it touch the players, it will go to the next level. So I also set up a class for it just in case. And now for the activity main, there's which is the main menu of the game, and there's video view for video streaming, the button for opening the Bluetooth chat room, and last but not least, another linear layout for the game itself. So right here, the custom title for the Bluetooth chat room, and here's the how I list the device. Right here, another layout XML, and here's where I show the name of the devices, and the main activity for the Bluetooth chat room, and this is where I show the message, and last but not least is start menu for the Bluetooth chat room. So that's basically it for the entire project. Thanks for watching.